Well, hello everyone, welcome to World at War Comics. Back again, Mr. Mark Millar, to talk about the Kickstarter, which I think has, 13 days to go. So we're getting to crunch time
Right?
here. Um, it's doing pretty well, Mark. I don't know how you feel about it.
It's great. Yeah, I mean, like I've never done a Kickstarter before, so I was saying to Johnny said, "What do you think it'll do?" And I was like, "I don't know if it, it's weird because comics you kind of roughly know who your audience is in comics. I've built it up over 3 decades, but to actually have something as yeah, it's a blank piece of paper. I mean, nobody could buy it, or loads of people could buy it. But we're on track. I think we're about $85,000 or thereabouts for the
Yeah.
first issue. And
Yeah.
we're on track for the 100, I think. So if we crack $100,000, I'll be delighted. That's about 3 times what we were expecting, which is great for issue one.
Yeah, I would assume it will with 13 days to go. A lot of news, obviously, about this title. I had John on about a week ago, and what a blast. We actually live
One's great.
close
Yeah.
to each other. Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. So that was a lot of fun. The one thing I wanted to talk about, which is kind of unique about Psychic Sam, is all your adaptations into either film or series.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it happened quite a bit after the actual title hit the market, but this one, it seems like you're almost doing it at the same time, whereas the title's coming out and you already have a director and you're already kind of working on adapting it into a film. Am I right on that? Or did you have other titles that were done
I
like that?
think that's what's happened with almost all of them. It's really strange. I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
What Wanted was the very first new thing, create your own thing that I tried. And whenever the solicits went out, and I can't remember exactly when that was, 2003, but when the solicits went out, it was like September 2003. I got a call that week before, 3 months before the comic came out. I got a call from Universal Studios, a producer there called Mark Platt. And I was like, I genuinely thought it was a prank because I'd no footprint in Hollywood at all. I hadn't worked on the first Iron Man for a couple of more years yet and everything. So like to me, Hollywood was the stuff I saw in the video store when I went down, right? So there was this call, and I thought, is somebody pranking me? But I luckily didn't just tell them to F off or something. I kept talking, and it turned out to be real. And then whenever I was doing Kick-Ass, the comic book, way before it came out, Matthew Vaughn and I had become friends. He was working on Stardust at the time, and Matthew said, "Have you got anything coming up? I'd love to do one of your things." And I said, "I've got two things. I've got the American Jesus book and also Kick-Ass." And he loved them both, but he read Kick-Ass and was like, "I have to do this." So we had the movie deal done before that came out. So I've been really lucky actually that always happens. And what's happened with this one is I'm friends with Guy Ritchie's team. And I love everything they're doing. I really loved Wrath of Man. That was my favorite thing. And the Gentleman movie, the Gentleman TV show, and now Mobland is incredible. So, Guy's producer and co-writer is a guy called Ivan Atkinson, who's this giant, dangerous South African. Right? He's a cage fighter. He's a jiu-jitsu expert and cage fighter. But imagine Joe Rogan, but adult size.
Yeah.
It's like he's huge. And he said to me, "I'd love us to do something." And I was like, "I love what you guys do." And we've always talked. And I told him, "I'm doing my first Kickstarter." And he says, "What is it?" And I said, "I've written the whole thing. I did it before Christmas. I've written all 3 volumes. I'm doing it with Johnny Jr., who I did Kick-Ass with." And he said, "Well, send me it over." And Johnny had started drawing. And he was like, "We need to make this into a movie." So all 3 volumes are going to be condensed into one movie. So it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. I finished my side of things. I finished the comics in December 21st, I think it was. And they started putting the screenplay together round about February. We have our director, and our director has made 2 movies with the guy we want to play the main part. He's just done a movie recently with him, and he also broke the guy into the industry years before as well with his first film. And he's a great director. And the actor, if we get him, is pretty much the biggest actor there is right now, like in terms of box office, current contemporary box office. So it's really exciting. We'll hopefully know this weekend who if we have the actor, which is great. So this seems to be moving like a rocket. It's great. It's a fun concept though, and it's been a great comic. It's worked out well, and it's going to be a great movie.
Yeah, I think so. And now everyone is going to be Googling all the information that you just provided me to find out who the actor is because it hasn't been announced, right? You haven't talked about it at all, right?
Well, no, he's going to make a decision this weekend. So like I nearly said the name of the director, but the director meeting the actor for lunch this weekend, and they're going to talk it through. But I think there's a very good chance because these guys really like each other. They like working together. The guy loves the sound of the thing, you know. And the concept, I should tell you actually, like I love movies and comic books about Frank Castle type characters. You know, a big dangerous guy with a gun taking out horrible people. Like, and the fun of writing that stuff is to come up with the worst villains, so you feel great when he shoots them in the head. You know, and it is, action movies and comics are kind of weird because you're essentially condoning murder. You know, you feel great when people are being killed, so you have to make the guys really deserving of that murder, and that's the fun stuff to write. So Psychic Sam is that. It's a vigilante comic, and the idea is imagine a sort of a big blue collar trucker, right? A guy who drives a big 18 wheeler, and he basically has a voice whispering in his ear, and he's like, "What the hell is this?" And they say, "There's going to be a murder tomorrow. Here's the guy who's going to do it. Here's his address. If you kill him, it'll stop the murder from happening. But if you ignore this message, an innocent person is going to die." And he's like, "This is crazy." And he ignores the first couple, and he's like, "People are dying out there, and it's nice people, you know." Ethically, what do you do in that situation? Do you pick up a baseball bat? Do you go round to somebody's house, break their legs, see what happens? And he eventually sees a murder so terrible of this little kid that he's like, I can't stand back and do nothing. And it's, will an ordinary person become a vigilante in the right circumstances? You know, so he's like, I have to go around with a baseball bat. I'm not taking a gun or a chainsaw or anything yet, you know, but I'll go around with a baseball bat and I'm going to take these guys down. And that's the first 10 pages of the story, and it goes crazy from there. What is like Punisher on steroids? It's crazy.
Wow. I know there's no chance at all, but man, it would be amazing to have you back on Punisher, to be quite honest. I would love to see a return to
I would love
Frank
to do it.
Castle.
Yeah. I think my days doing those things are gone.
I
You know, I did them in my 30s, you know, but like but I love doing it, you know, and you know, I've talked Marvel, the Marvel guys are like my buddies, you know, if I go to I was in New York a couple of weeks ago and I'll meet the Marvel guys for breakfast, you know. And we always say, oh, we should do one more thing. So at some point I will do something. I have a project that's so big that it would involve more than one department at Disney, and that's quite tricky to kind of get going. But if I get that off the ground in the next couple of years, then it would be mega. It'd be great. It'd be fun.
Well, I'm just gonna pull it up real quick so people could see it. I'm also gonna put the link below.
Mhm.
That way it makes it really easy. So if you haven't gone and backed Psychic Sam, you have 13 days to do so. I'm a backer. I'm really excited about this. I think this is just gonna continue the Miller verse that we all love. I wanted to kind of ask you real quick because I don't know if this is your daughter's like publishing name.
Uh-huh.
What's it called again?
Like Hustle Comics.
Yes. Is that your
Oh,
daughter's?
no, no, no. She is, her company is called, I can't believe the families all get their own publishing divisions, you know, but hers is called A Broken Apple.
Oh, that's
And
right. You're right.
yeah, and which I love. I mean, anybody check out, please, Emily Brooks Miller, and her most recent book is called Bird Dad, which is amazing. You can still buy it from her online store. But she has done three graphic novels now, and they're like my favorite books. I love them. No, this is a separate thing. It's I do Miller World at Netflix, right?
Yeah.
But I carved out a 12-week holiday from Netflix, October and November and December, because I was so ahead on all my projects. You know, I was kind of like, you know, that good kid in class. I was so ahead on everything. And I said, look, I've got this idea for a Superman story, and the Marvel guys are asking me, and I kind of like the idea just for the fun of it, you know, just because I'm a fanboy, you know. I mean, look around my office, you know, it's like a 12-year-old bedroom, you know, and like and I like to scratch that itch, you know. I haven't done it for a long time, you know. I mean, God, I was in my 30s when I last did a Marvel book. I was in my 20s when I last did a DC book. And I was saying, I kind of like to do something. But then weirdly, I had the idea for Psychic Sam, and Johnny had wanted to do a project with me as well. And I said, well, this would have to exist outside of Netflix. It wouldn't be part of my contract. I've taken a 12-week holiday there. But do you fancy doing it? We'll do a Kickstarter. And I'd always been keeping my eye on Kickstarter. I love what everyone's been doing with Kickstarter. I mean, there's been some incredible stuff just blowing up there. And I thought, I wonder if I could do it. You know, I'll give it a try. And Johnny was like, let's do it, you know, and it's been great.
Didn't Emily pave the way for you with Kickstarter?
She 100% did.
Yeah,
And you know, it's funny, Robert Rodriguez, the director, said this to me. He said, what's amazing is, you know, you spend your whole life teaching your children, but then there's a little point where your children start teaching you, you know, when you flip. And it's an amazing thing when it happens. So I was calling her up and asking for advice. I was like, so hang on, what do I do? You know, like setting up the page and everything. And she just told me what to do with everything, which is great.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm gonna put the link below. Let's make it very easy for people to get over there and back it. 13 days to go. Let's get you to that 100 grand. And I think if you back this, you're gonna, especially if you do love those kind of Frank Castle type stories, I think you're gonna absolutely love this.
I think if you're a fan of 90s comics, like Punisher Warzone is one of my favorite books of the 90s. I love that book. And that's actually when I first got in touch with John Romita, I think, around about that time. Just fan mail, you know, I was a reader and I was like, this is awesome. If you like that kind of thing, Chuck Dixon, Johnny Romita, you know, you'll like Psychic Sam. Do you know what I've just noticed? You've got, in amongst all your Green Lanterns, I can see Alan Scott over in the
Yes.
far side.
Yes.
And I've never asked anyone this question before. Is Alan Scott officially a member of the Green Lantern Corps?
He is now.
Right.
But as you know, it was a lot different when Alan Scott came
Yeah.
to be grabbing the lantern.
Yeah.
Everything is so much different from those first issues, what in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has been officially made a member. I can't remember when it was, but
Right.
yeah, he definitely
Has
has.
his power ring got the same source?
I think it does now,
Oh, right.
but
Okay.
originally it didn't. It was
Is he the
much
green
different.
flame? It's a green flame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying put him on a different shelf,
Yeah. Yeah.
but my OCD, I'm like, hang on, is he officially
It doesn't belong there.
should he be one shelf down?
No, good catch, good catch. I do love Green Lantern, and Jeff Johns was my
Oh,
big,
great.
yeah,
He and Ethan Van
amazing.
Sciver did the best run on Green Lantern. I don't think there's been a better run ever. You like John Broome Gardner Fox era with Gil Kane, amazing. Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil, amazing. But I think those
Ivan
two
Reese too.
together,
Ivan Reese was absolutely phenomenal.
amazing. Yeah. So what's Ivan Reese doing now? I haven't seen his stuff for a while.
Ghost Machine. He's part of the team with Jeff Johns over at
Which
Ghost
one is
Machine.
he doing? What book is he doing? Which one?
He is doing, is it Geiger?
Oh, right. Is that him? I'm a little behind on my indies. I'm actually a couple of years behind on things, but I'm going to pick that up because
You should.
I've seen Redcoat, the one Jeff's doing with Brian, which is
Yeah.
great, you know.
Ryan
But
Hitch is
I'll
amazing
have to
as
check that
well.
out. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So
The
good.
the one title that seemed, I mean, Geiger, especially that the second portion of Geiger has really taken off.
Mhm.
But Rook Exodus, if you're not reading Rook
Oh, I
Exodus,
hear that's great. So many people. Is that Peter
insane.
Strath's one? Yeah.
And
Yeah, I've heard
Jason
that's
Fabok.
excellent.
Jason
Yeah.
Fabok is on that. It's probably, I mean, Jason Fabok is an incredible artist. It's probably his best art I've ever seen. The
Wow.
details on each panel, Mark, are
Mhm.
just next level. I think that's probably my favorite Ghost Machine, but I'm a big Ghost Machine fan. To be honest, anything that Jeff does, I'm a huge
Yeah.
fan, just like
Yeah,
you. I just
Jeff's great.
in Blackest Night. Um,
Yeah.
I started reading it again because I have the oh
Oh my God. Right, I've got a theory about these books because I've got some of my own printed this size.
yeah,
It's impossible to read though, isn't it? I mean, you cannot turn the pages. So what I do is I keep it for my shelf and
yeah,
it looks cool on my shelf, and then I read the monthly books
yeah.
of things.
Yeah,
Because
every morning I
imagine
go
lying
like
in
this
bed.
and I grab the
Yeah,
page and I turn it over.
impossible. Impossible.
It is, but I started going through it again. I do think for DC, outside of like Crisis, Infinite Earth, this is probably one of the best crossovers in
Oh, it's great.
book
Yeah.
that DC has ever done. And
Yeah.
obviously Jeff is just brilliant. You have the Sinestro Wars before this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It was a great run.
Brightest
Great run.
Brightest Day wasn't as good as Blackest Night, but those
Yeah.
three together are just a big
So
part
good.
of my life for sure.
So good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I'd say probably the best Green Lantern run. I think it really is, you know. But yeah,
absolutely.
good times. But you know, I've actually got to jump onto it. I'm now doing with some, I think with somebody in the Middle East. I've got like Sarah's got me back to back interviews, you know, so I have to jump onto the next. Oh, here she is to let me
Yeah,
know.
yeah, no problem. No problem.
But listen, great talking to you, and thanks for having me on. Hopefully, when we do volume two, you know, we
Yes.
can all talk, you know. And we've got over the next, let me think, Magic Order finishes up in 2 weeks' time. Huck just started last month. Nemesis starts in August. And then there's a surprise book towards the end of the year nobody knows about yet. So tons of stuff going on, you know. So like I'm knackered. you know.
Well, you're on fire as always, Mark. I really appreciate you coming on and talking about Psychic Sam. Everybody watching, the links are below. Make it really easy for you, Mark. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend, okay?
Thank you. You too. All the best, Tommy. Catch you
Okay,
later then.
talk soon. Bye-bye.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.